Hey super scientists, we're looking at 2.2, floating and sinking. So one term that we need to be familiar with is buoyancy. Buoyancy is the ability to float. And this refers to the buoyant force. So let's talk about another force that we're familiar with, gravity. So gravity, we know that acting on an object that's on land, gravity is the force that will pull stuff down towards the earth. Well, buoyant force is going to act on an object that's in the water, and it's going to act opposite to gravity. So the buoyant force is going to push upward on an object that's in the water. And so it's going to make the object feel lighter. So for example, when my brother and I would go swimming when we were younger, I would be able to pick up my brother while we were both in the water. And that's because the buoyant force was also acting on my brother. So it wasn't just me using all of my muscles to pick him up. So that's why you might be able to pick someone up or pick up a heavy object in the water. Archimedes' principle says that the buoyant force that's acting on a submerged object, an object that's in the water, is equal to the weight of the water that the object displaces. So displacement, you may have noticed displacement if you've ever taken a bath in a bathtub. So you run some bath water and you get the water all the way filled up to the tippy top of the bathtub, and then you decide to get into the bathtub. Well, what's going to happen to the water? It's going to overflow. Why does the water overflow? Because of displacement. Science, right? So the reason why the bathtub might overflow is because you have added your weight to the water, and your weight, your mass, is going to displace some of that water. And that's because of Archimedes' principle, because the buoyant force pushing upward on your weight is going to have an equal weight of the water that is being displaced. And you can see that happening in the cup that's right here. So the water level without this mass added to it, the water level was down here. But then when you added that wooden block, then it made the water level go upward. Let's talk about density. So density equals mass divided by volume. D equals M over V. So the density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cubed. So if you are looking at this diagram here at the bottom, an object that will float in water is going to be less dense than water. An object that will sink in water is going to be more dense than the water. So if the object, or the density of the water is 1 gram per centimeter cubed, then that means the object that floats in water has to have a density less than 1. If an object is going to sink in the water, like this wooden block, then that means the object has to have a greater density than water. So if the object is sinking, it's going to have a greater density, so that means its density has to be greater than 1 gram per centimeter cubed.